Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Dr. Josie Schmidt. I'm one of the founders of the Visionary Leaders Collective, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to our podcast. You can learn all about our community offerings at hellovisionary.life. And please do follow us on Instagram and YouTube and give us a great rating. We love that. So in this call, the first half of the call, we focus on an array of wellness topics and solutions using essential oils and other medicinal plants. And the second portion of the call, we focus on how to successfully earn additional income by sharing doTERRA. Today, we will be highlighting traveling with MetaPWR, sunburns, food poisoning, what to do for headaches, migraines, elevation reactions, jet lag, constipation, sleep. You got it. We got the tips, the tricks, and all of the usage from years and years of all of our expert leaders and all of our people in the community. So we're going to share all of that with you. And then the second half, we'll be discussing hosting summer events with more tips and ideas of how to best do that. So I would love to hand over the call now to Aisha Harley, and she is going to lead us in a meditation with SuperMint. This is our oil blend for today.
Thank you, Dr. Josie, and hello and welcome everybody. I chose SuperMint for today's meditation because I just returned from 2.5 months of European travel, and SuperMint was one of my top used do not leave home without it oils. So I wanted to give you all an experience with it. It is an amazing blend. It came out last fall at convention, and it is peppermint, Japanese peppermint, bergamot, and spearmint. And it comes in a roller bottle, which I love. I actually traveled with the roller bottle, with the 15 ml, and with the beadlets. So I used all 3 forms of SuperMint. So if you do not have SuperMint, go ahead, you can grab peppermint or you could grab spearmint. But if you have your SuperMint, go ahead and grab that. And then let's all open it up, whichever form you have. And with the roller bottle, I'm going to roll it onto my wrists. If you have the 15 ml, you can just drop it into your hands. And let's just take a moment to rub your palms together. And this just helps ground and center us and bring us into the present. So if you're multitasking, which I know is easy to do, I invite you just to join us for this quick few moments of centering. So bring your hands up to your nose, close your eyes, and take a deep inhale. And release your exhale. And inhale. And exhale. And on this next inhale, I invite you to inhale love. Just inhale pure love into your body, into your heart, into your mind. And exhale love. And again, inhale, inhaling love. And exhale. And one more time, inhale, inhaling love. And exhaling love. Bringing your hands to your heart. And then if there's anywhere on your body that needs little extra love, extra attention, you feel any pain, tension, need some support, just rest your hands there. And sending love to that area of the body. And then bring your hands back to your heart and take a deep inhale. And release the exhale. And I am going to pass the call over to Ariana, and she's going to get us started with oils for travel.
Hey, everybody. So oils for travel has so many good components. And I think that what I know is when I've traveled, I would be at a loss if I didn't bring my oils. So I'm going to start off with just an experience I had a few days ago. So my daughter went to the coast with some friends, a big group of teenagers. And I got a text and then a call that said, "Mom, I got nauseous. I threw up. I'm at the coast. Can you come get me?" Which I was like, okay, of course. And so why I'm bringing this up is that part of her sickness was car sickness, and I suffer from car sickness too. And then if you're traveling, sometimes that can be exasperated if you have some, altitude conditions and some other components going on. And so I was so grateful that in my car, I just keep a little first aid kit. And I wanted to share with you some of the things that I keep in there, just because you just don't know what's going to pop up. And I also want to say this is great for a plane too. So here's some ideas for motion sickness. We're thinking about boats, planes, cars. So ginger and the ginger drops are phenomenal. So that's something that you can, if you don't want to take the whole bag, like say you're traveling and you want to keep it small, even just taking like 5 or 10 drops that you put in to whatever little travel pouch. I have like a small little metal first aid kit under my car seat. Highly recommend the ginger. And then I had just a little small bottle of Digestion. So you can take our oils if you want to make them compact for a plane, and even just put some in a small, we have our little sample bottles, or if you have the 5 milliliter size, that's a way to just make your luggage a little bit lighter, or making a first aid kit for the car a little bit smaller. So for motion sickness, ginger drops or ginger oil on the belly with the ginger oil is great. And then of course our Digestion. And then the other thing I really like is, Aisha had already mentioned them, but the SuperMint beadlets or the peppermint beadlets. So those are all really good for motion sickness. And then remember to smell the oils. So using I like having like the SuperMint or the ginger that you can also smell. The aroma is going to really help with that queasy stomach and that kind of feeling of blah when you're in a car. If you get car sick, you know what I'm talking about. And then I also wanted to mention in that little travel kit, I know we have said this in the past, but I always keep lavender in there as well. Because of histamine responses, because of burns, you can use it for sunburns, you can use it for bites and stings, you can use it to clean cuts, you can use it for anxiety. And so that one too is one that I never travel without, because when I need it, it covers so much territory. And then I'm going to hand it off to Aisha. She was just in Europe, as she mentioned. And so she was going to talk to us a little bit about some of her tricks for when she was traveling through Europe, what she did.
Thank you, Ariana. Well, first of all, a really important point about this topic, and really, this is really true for day-to-day life, is to be proactive. So for instance, Ariana talked about car sickness. This was in my travels in the fall, but there was a group of us going to a CC in a van, which was a very, 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 very windy road. And I think about half of the passengers all admitted to getting car sick. So we all know, right, that we're prone to car sickness. So if you're prone to car sickness, raise your hand, or motion sickness. So what I did is I started administering the SuperMint beadlets to everybody before we started driving. I was giving everybody drops of oil in their hands during the trip. During the trip, it was a long trip, I continued to administer the SuperMint to everybody. So my point here is, if you know that you're going to be in a situation where you could possibly get car sick, do not wait until you are car sick. Be proactive. Start using the SuperMint before you're going to get car sick. And that leads me into my next topic, which is going to be jet lag. I'm sure everybody has experienced jet lag. Honestly, I will experience jet lag even from an hour or two of travel. And yet, if you're traveling internationally, that is yet a whole nother situation because of the massive time zone difference. Jet lag for me can be completely incapacitating. So I know that I'm very prone to jet lag, but again, this is something that you want to be proactive about, and you actually start addressing before you arrive wherever your destination is and feel like crap. So I want to share some of the things that I do during travel, when I arrive, and actually for the following week. I find for me, it takes about a week to be totally adjusted to the next time zone. And so I'm very, very proactive in that first week. And by doing so, it really makes all the difference in my energy, in my mental capacity, and also, most importantly, my ability to go to wherever that destination is and have a good time and not want to go to bed at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I mean, there's really nothing worse than not sleeping, and not sleeping is going to really have an impact, especially if it's over multiple days. So when you're traveling, I find, like, I know you all know, or if you don't know, you're going to know now, that I love MetaPWR. MetaPWR is like, I mean, we can just talk about MetaPWR for travel and for everything. But the reason why MetaPWR is so important for jet lag is that it helps reset your metabolic function. And that has a lot to do with sleep. And so when you're traveling, when you're on the airplane, I take the MetaPWR oil underneath my tongue every couple of hours. And the other thing you really want to do when you're traveling is hydrate. You lose a massive amount of water and hydration when you're traveling. So I also travel with electrolytes. And if you go on Amazon or to your travel store, there are electrolytes that are specifically for travel. And I find these to be super helpful. So not only are you hydrating with water, but you're also getting those electrolytes. Okay, so again, we're traveling, we're doing the MetaPWR oil while traveling, and then a lot of hydration. So if you can sit on an aisle seat so you can get up and pee a lot, that's also really a little helpful tip when you're booking your airline ticket. The other thing, again, is on the airplane, I really like to take the SuperMint as well, because if you are prone to any kind of motion sickness, or, I was just flying back home from Istanbul, our flight was really bumpy. And so in that moment, I can grab it, and you want to put it in a place where you can easily grab it. Because if you start to feel crappy or start to get sick, it gets really difficult to start rummaging through your backpack when you're not feeling well. So I always like to have everything like that I need super easily accessible. Then upon landing, this is really important, you need to be really aggressive with oils for your sleep and really making sure that you get your sleep. So when you arrive, it's really important to try to immediately get on the new time zone. So for instance, if you're arriving at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, but for your time, it's 2 in the morning, if you can, try not to go to sleep, and try to go to sleep at 9 o'clock in the evening, or at least 8 o'clock if you are really crashing, but really try to immediately get on the new time zone. This is really important. And then give yourself sleep support. So the Serenity soft gels are really important. If you can have a traveling diffuser to put by your bed and diffuse Serenity, balanced and cedarwood is a really great combination. I also vetiver, I traveled with vetiver that you can roll on the bottoms of your feet. Have your travel diffuser diffusing through the night, because this will help keep you sleeping. And then if you wake up with that kind of like wide awake feeling in the middle of the night, you can't get back to sleep, slather yourselves with more oils. And also you can take more Serenity soft gels. I also recommend eating a little bit of protein before you go to bed, so you can also keep your blood sugar balanced. And then the last thing that I'll add is taking the MetaPWR Advantage. So that's the packet with the NMN and the collagen, taking that daily while traveling. Some people, you can take that at night before you go to bed. And in the first week of traveling, while I'm adjusting, I will actually take 2 of them. And I have found that MetaPWR Advantage has made the biggest difference to everything else I have done. So I did 2 months of travel in the fall, 2 months of travel in the spring. This spring was by far my easiest adaptation to the new time zone. And I couldn't even believe how good I was feeling. So again, be really proactive, do the things throughout the day, and then really, again, like travel that kit. I know that we have a lot of other things that we want to specifically go through. So Ariana, do you want to talk about being proactive for headaches?
Yes. And so one thing that I wanted to say is I can testify to my sister, because I've traveled with her overseas, and I am amazed at her coming back to Europe and how much energy she's had. So she is definitely walking the walk with the MetaPWR. And yes, I want to talk about headaches. I also just wanted to really highlight the preparation. So I completely agree. Like when you're on a plane, having things accessible. And I just wanted to mention, even in my car, when I got the phone call from my daughter, I actually left from a different location and just drove to get her. So I can't speak highly enough for having a little first aid kit in the car. I like to have a little travel just bag, because I travel a lot, that I just tuck in the bathroom and then I add to it, but it has all those things that I don't want to forget. And one thing I did want to mention in that, and then I promise I'll come to headaches, is the correct X as well. For any kind of cuts, scrapes, hangnails, you can use it in your nostrils on the plane to help just keep your immune system healthy and kind of block out viruses. So just having that kind of pack, because when you're packing the night before or something, sometimes you can get rushed and you can forget all those things, like, oh, I wish I would have brought some Band-Aids and correct X, or I wish I would have brought my lavender, I forgot it. So I highly recommend having that prep before when you're calm. And then for headaches, I get migraines and headaches, and I really have noticed, triggers for those can be altitude, they can be change in diet, they can be dehydration, they can be stress, right? And I'm a real sensitive one. So I really, really love the SuperMint when I get my migraines and headaches, rubbing on the back of my neck, inhaling, really helpful. And then I like to layer that with the deep blue stick. So when I travel, I always also bring the deep blue stick. If you are a person that has joint pains, or if you're going to do a lot of hiking, if you know that you're also sitting on a plane for a really long time can be triggering to our back, can be triggering for muscle tension headaches. The deep blue stick is wonderful for that. So I recommend lots of water and hydration. The MetaPWR Advantage, I'll give another plug for headaches. That really helps me. I have a headache this morning, actually, so I just took that. I used my SuperMint, and then the deep blue rub, or the deep blue, you could use the rub or the oil on your shoulders and neck. Aisha says, I traveled with 4 deep blue sticks. I totally get it. I mean, it is huge when you suffer from migraines. I just was traveling and had one, and I was so, so grateful to have my oils, because, you know, you're out away from home and you don't have your stuff, and all of a sudden you're super vulnerable, right? And you're like, you know, if anyone suffers from migraines, you know, I had a 10 where, like, when I was traveling, I was flat on my back and at points couldn't open my eyes, right? So I had my SuperMint by my bed. I had my deep blue stick by my bed. So grateful for both of those.
Ariana, can I add a tip about that? If you know that you are prone to certain things, then make yourself an emergency travel kit. I am prone to migraines. I'm also prone to UTIs. In fact, I had to go to the ER in Switzerland due to a UTI, but I also had a travel UTI emergency kit, which was actually really helpful and kept the situation controllable. So the other thing that Ariana mentioned that I really want to stress is make yourself your own emergency kit that you have, you know, for your car, but also for travel. If you travel a lot, have one that's already made up, and think through the things, like, we can tell you kind of these common ailments, right, that are common, but think through the things that you are prone to make sure, or your family's prone to say, okay, if someone gets food sickness or diarrhea, what are we going to do? If someone gets a headache, what are we going to do? If someone gets motion sick, what are we going to do? If someone gets a UTI, what are we going to do? Like, these are all, you know, someone gets a cut or a scrape or a cold, what are we going to do? So think through these topics and things that are prone to you in your situation, and then prepare for that. And this is an obvious one, but I am also going to give a big shout out to the On Guard hand spray, because I use that on the airplane. I use it, like, I also travel with multiple bottles of that when I'm going for a long period of time. And they also make really good gifts. I like to throw some oil gifts into my travel bag as well. So as I'm traveling, if I'm staying with somebody, if I meet somebody new, it can be a really good way to share oils while you're traveling and promote your business if you're doing that. Or and the hand sanitizer is a really awesome product to use for that.
I had a few more ideas too. I wanted to say, Marilyn mentioned past tense for headaches, and yes, Marilyn, I love past tense for my migraines, and I use those for headaches. I wanted to say, with the past tense, sometimes that can be a stronger smell for some people. So I really find if I'm on a plane, I like SuperMint, just because it's a little bit more just softer, and most people can tolerate the smell of mint. And so just a little trick on that. And then I also wanted to say that even having our oils, tea tree and melaleuca tea tree for cuts. I got a hangnail at one point and it turned into an infection. So, like Aisha was saying, you know, you're out and about, and if you know that there's certain things that you are prone to, have that ready. And then any of us could always get a cut or a scrape at any time too, right? So that has saved me. I just can't even tell you. Or like a UTI, just having my oils for the unexpected has saved me so many times.
We have some comments here. Let's read them really quick. Okay, so Marilyn, yes, past tense for headaches, exactly. One thing I will say about headaches too, and especially travel headaches, is hydration. And also hydrations with electrolytes. We talk about, like, if you're going to a different elevation, I'm almost guaranteed a headache. So again, I know that. So hydration, jet lag, hydration, eating poor diet when you're traveling, Also, hydration. Oftentimes headaches are caused by lack of sleep and lack of hydration. So you get the point. And also, again, being super proactive. So if you start to feel the most smallest tinge of that headache coming on, get on the Deep Blue rub. That is amazing for migraines. And the other thing is personally, I'm going to be transparent. If I'm about to get a migraine, I have medication I take for that. So there is a time and a place when you can use the oils in combination with your medications that you need, and they can then help shorten the life and make your medication more effective. So we're not necessarily saying, don't use any of those other things. There is a time and a place for all of it, and these are all tools. Okay, wait, one more question here. This is from Linda. I've been having some nerve discomfort with a broken foot. Oh, I'm so sorry about that. And basil has been a great help. That's fantastic. That's a really good tip. And then Florence says, I was at a celebration of life on Saturday. Head tension began to rise its head. I pulled out the SuperMint roller ball and the tension began to lessen. I know what, like a gift, right? And
I wanted to add too, I am in transparency having a little headache. So I had an idea and then it slipped out of my brain, but it came back. Another thing that I wanted to add is the MetaPWR beadlets and the gum. So when you're on the plane, if your ears get all plugged up, chewing gum can help. And then what I really love about that is it has the mint, so it helps with any like rough landings. And then also, I think balancing the blood sugar is so important. So sometimes when you're traveling, unexpected things happen and you don't get food. Like maybe the plane food's bad, or you have allergies and you can't eat something or whatnot, right? Or you're just waiting for your car rental and you can't go get your food. Like it takes 2 more hours than you thought or whatever. That always seems to happen in travel, unexpected things. So I highly recommend bringing either the MetaPWR gum, it could be the beadlets, it could be the oil, whatever is clever for you, but using that in times when you need a snack and you're going to have a blood sugar drop, but maybe you just can't get food or you don't have that snack on hand too.
Hi, this is Dr. Josie. Hey, Aisha and Ari. Before we even got the recording going, there was a conversation that leads from that, Ariana, about sugar. And I think it's a good conversation to have in the summer, because the summertime is one of those times when there's a lot of gatherings, there's birthdays, there's events, like there's ice cream. Sometimes we eat a lot more sugar, and we have those sugar events and happenings. And so we have so many tools to help us with this. And so, Ari, one of the things you were sharing is that you had a little, maybe it was a premenstrual thing, you weren't sure, but like you had a little sugar.
I'll share it. It was hormonal.
Event last night.
Yeah, this is what happened last night, guys. And I know better, but sometimes we forget and need reminders. So me and my daughter were watching a movie. She went and got a little ice cream. And I was like, oh my God, I want chocolate. And I ate these little mochi chocolate balls and they were so yummy and I was just craving chocolate. And I woke up today with a really foggy brain and a migraine starting. And I really think it was from that ice cream and that sugar late at night. And then my sister reminded me, hey, taking the MetaPWR at that time is a really good thing to do before, even if you're going to eat the sugar, right? Like prepping so that you can take the oil to stop the cravings, and you can also take the MetaPWR Assist to help with those carbs, to help break down those sugars slower, to help the body assimilate if we do end up indulging at at an event, having, celebrating, having a piece of cake. So that was such an important reminder, Jose. And we all are human, right? We forget,
That's fine. And yeah. And one of the things is as we get older, as women and probably men too, I'm not as sure actually, but I know the women part. Estrogen helps us buffer against so many things, and certainly our blood sugar as well. And so as our estrogens are going down, where we were able to compensate better and handle sugar and alcohol, like same almost, you'll notice as you get closer to menopause and then afterwards, you are not able to buffer sugars and alcohol and compensate as well. And so you'll be hit, like Ariana's like, wait, is there just a couple mochis? Shouldn't I be able to handle that? Exactly. The should be
I feel hungover.
You have in your head. Welcome to peri and menopause. The things that you're able to compensate for before, not as much now. And so that's hitting her stronger. So we have so many tools. So besides the assist, and then I think of also fiber. So one thing that helps is that you can take the assist, helps slow down how that's hitting your bloodstream. So it's kind of slowing down the hit. You don't want to take a Terrazyme at the same time. But about an hour and a half later, after eating that sugar before bed, you can then bring into your system some Terrazyme, some Zendocrine complex, and we love the fiber powder. The fiber powder you could have as a cold drink or a warm drink afterwards before dinner. And whenever we can bring fiber closer to a high sugar content, it's going to help do the same thing that the assist is doing. It's going to slow that processing down and it's going to be easier in your body. And then the next day, be prepared. Know that you might be a little bit of a headache, a little bit of a slower brain. Your body is like a little drunk with that sugar.
Yeah, too much sugar.
So you want
I did all those things in the morning. You know, so if you don't do them that night, it was like I woke up, I haven't done the fiber, but I've done the other stuff where I was like, okay, I'm going to take a Terrazyme now. I'm going to actually help my body process this because I can feel that my body is still processing it, right? And I was going to say, Jose, that I think too, taking the fiber, I'm learning this because I'm 47, so I'm kind of just remembering like, oh, I can't do these things I used to do when I was younger, like eat a whole bunch of chocolate ice cream before I go to bed. It's kind of humbling, but also the fiber when we travel, right? Because I know constipation can be a real problem when we have dehydration, when we have different altitudes, when we're eating different foods than we're used to, when we're on a different schedule than when we're used to. And that can really make it a bummer to be traveling and be constipated. So traveling with that fiber powder too. I know, Josie, you heat it up sometimes in the morning. I've seen when we're traveling.
Yep, the greens, the fiber powder for constipation. And then we really love taking Terrazyme 1 or 2 and the Zendocrine complex 1 or 2 before bed. Super helpful with all of that. But you know, in that next day, it's kind of the similar thing as you get older. The hit from sugar is the same as a hangover. Like a lot of the hangover that you have from alcohol, it's from the alcohol, but it's also from the sugar. So think about it that way. Get some food into you as soon as possible and get your LLV going and your MetaPWR advantage. First thing in the morning, get that advantage and then move on to, if you need to take food, you got to get the food in. I always have to have food in my belly for me to take the LLV. Can't do it on an empty stomach. So get that going sooner and just get your body back into its equilibrium.
And one little point about, I have just so many ideas about traveling, but one other little tip that I like for convenience when you travel is I have like a little travel vitamin pouch. And what I love to do is put any kind, like put in my LLV, put in my Serenity, put in any medication. I also take migraine medication just so that I can knock that out as soon as I can. So having all of those in my little travel pouch so that it's already there, and I always grab it before I travel. And then one other thing that I've been really liking is the LLV comes in those little packets too, instead of the bottles. And so those are really great. Like if I'm just running out and I'm going to go, you know, for a 2-day trip, I can just grab those really quickly so that I continue to take my vitamins when I am traveling and I don't have to take my big bottles as well.
Ariana, those were the best. So for my 2-month trip, I counted out the little sachets, right, of the LLV. They're so easy to put in your purse. And I counted out how many MetaPWRs I needed, and I threw in some extras. And I knew my trip was over and it was time to come home when all of my MetaPWR and LLV were run out.
That's perfect. Well, and then also it's nice because when you count them out, you can see, am I taking this or am I not? Right. So I know that if I also for my body, the LLV really helps with inflammation, and I have some joint and muscle things, as I mentioned. So I know I'm mentioning this because I think many people, it's a common ailment. And so if I don't take my LLV for a few days, my body is not very happy. So it's always a good marker when you're traveling. You can be like, oh, geez, I forgot yesterday, be mindful to put that in my purse today while I'm out and about.
Yes, perfect. I want to just do one more shout out, and then we're going to transition to the second part of our call. If there are any other questions or tips, you could throw them in the chat right now. We certainly hope that this is giving you some good ideas, but I just want to say, let's not forget about Digest Zen. And then again, like kind of a point that Ariana was talking about. And, sure, I was traveling and I was eating all kinds of fun things, right? So if I knew that I was having that dessert or that gelato or whatever it was that I was having along the way, I would take that MetaPWR assist before the treat, right? And then the other thing you can also do to really help offset digestive issues is to take a couple drops of Digest Zen underneath your tongue before you eat a heavy meal, or immediately after, or rub it on your belly. So these again are ways to be proactive. And I cannot stress this enough. We talk a lot about self-care, and I know that term gets thrown around so much, but doing these things proactively is part of your self-care, and it's going to help you avoid having any big problems. And again, when you're traveling and you're hit with a UTI or a migraine or whatever it is, it's a horrible feeling when you're out somewhere that you're not familiar, and or to have those tools and your own emergency kit so you can handle it if you need to makes all the difference. I do want to make sure that you all saw, I put some oils that are good for UTIs, which are celery seed, is really good. Also cassia cinnamon. I did not have celery seed, cassia, or cinnamon. I had On Guard. And so I started dosing On Guard under my tongue regularly. And then I actually also traveled with a UTI test kit. And so I could test, and that's a non-doTERRA product, but then my test came up positive. So then I knew I needed to go see a doctor. So those were the things that I did to hold it off, so it wasn't like crazy intense. It was just the mild beginning of it, but then I could get on top of it. So I wasn't in the ER in the middle of the night. So those were ways that I was proactive. So, again, just think about that, think through those scenarios. So yeah, such good stuff. And this is also about day-to-day life, right? I got a bee sting yesterday. And I actually said to my mom, I said, okay, Mom, what oil do I use for a bee sting? And she said lavender. And I said, great. Because when you're in an emergency, sometimes it's hard to go look it up, right? So if you start to then learn about the oils and what oils to use and what is an oil good for, then when your child is screaming and has something going on, or you're in a lot of pain, or you're in that like emergency moment, you know what oil to grab and what to do to begin to address something. So that's why we just keep talking about these things over and over and over. So it just becomes in you, and you just have this knowledge. And sure, we have the resources to look things up, but you just go, oh yeah, lavender is an antihistamine. Any kind of allergic reaction, get it under the tongue, get it on the site. I mean, it can be a lifesaver, like literally a lifesaver. So transitioning into summer, we wanted to take a minute to talk about hosting summer events. First of all, I cannot stress to all of you the importance of connection and human connection and the need for connection. We are all still navigating out of an extremely collective time of trauma. I think that like all of us have had, the pandemic and then other life circumstances on top of that. And we are all still kind of suffering and being challenged with kind of the blowback of that. One of the things that I have found to be the most healing and good for my personal mental health, and so I just really want to put that out there, is community and connection. And I think it's one of the things that Visionary Leaders is a real stand for, is community and connection. We love our oils, we love talking about all of these things, but I know that there's so many people that are part of this community, not because they're even building a doTERRA business, but because of the community. So my invitation to all of you is if you are sharing or building a business and want to create some income with doTERRA, is to plan some summer events. We have, if you are in Portland, we are having 2 summer events this summer, and our first one is this Wednesday. It is a summer social. It is going to start at 5:30, and I have the invite on the Essential Wellness page, and I believe also on the Visionary Leaders page. I can also drop it into the chat here in a moment, or if you cannot find it, please reach out to me personally and I will send you the link for this. The way that we're setting this event up is we want it to be more of a casual summer social, but it's also a way to introduce oils and MetaPWR to friends and family in a very casual manner. So the event starts at 5:30. We're going to have just a meet and a greet and say hello, because a lot of us haven't seen one another in person. And then we're going to teach people how to give self symphonies. So this is the Symphony of the Cells that we've talked about a lot, and it's a way to administer and layer oils to address different health concerns. Now, this is also a really good tool, again, for travel or to know about when you're traveling. And Dr. Josie is our queen of the Symphony of the Cells. And so she'll be demonstrating how to do this for yourself, because on the one hand, it is set up to give it to one another. But sometimes if you're traveling or live alone or for whatever reason, we can't be reliant on somebody else needing to give us this treatment. So we need to know how to give ourselves the treatment. So we're going to talk about the different treatments, how to use them and how to apply them. And we're all going to give ourselves a self symphony at this event. We are then also going to talk about MetaPWR, how to use MetaPWR, and share MetaPWR testimonials. Now, I'm just giving you the layout because, one, if you're in Portland, we really hope that you'll join us. We have another event in a couple of weeks, and I can look up that exact date in a moment to tell you. But I'm just sharing this outline because if you're not in Portland and you want to have something similar, I'm just giving you some ideas of what an event could look like. Excuse me. I also, when I was in Switzerland, I taught my first Oils Made Easy class in a couple of years live. And it was such a delight to teach this class. There are so many people that are still, they don't know how to use oils. They don't know how to do just like the basic foundation of how to use oils. And I built my business from 0 to diamond by teaching the oils basic class every week for a solid year. Whether there was 1 person there or 2 people there or 3 people there, do not underestimate the power of teaching the basics. We also have people in our team this summer that are doing some cooking events. They love to cook. They love to use oils with different cuisines. So they're hosting like a brunch with a cooking event, and then they're highlighting how they're using the oils in different dishes. We also have people doing tea events, so like a tea social where people are coming over and they're making different teas with the essential oils. And I would also love to hear, I know Florence, you have a secret garden. I've heard a little bit about, if you want to share any ideas about what you're doing, or if anybody else would like to come online and just share some ideas for summer events. Skincare is also another really great one. Is there anybody else that's planning summer events and that would like to share their ideas with us?
I just will share that, or go ahead, Linda. I think you want to share and then I'll add afterwards. You just have to, oh, you remember
Yes,
that.
yeah, I got it. We're making lip balms.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
And not only do they learn about the oils and get to choose oils, but whatever carriers that we're using, I have little things typed out about the benefits of each of the carrier oils or the waxes, the things that you're going to use and why we're using them. So then each person gets a little strip of paper with something to say and share as we go along and make the essential oils. And then while it's setting up, and what I do is I invite people on my team because they always want more of my lip balm, right? Now, when are we going to make lip balm? And so I said, the ticket to this is to bring someone that would benefit from essential oils. So then we sit around the table. Now, half the people or more than half the people there already do doTERRA. And when I start teaching a beginning class and I'm passing an oil, oh, that's oh, I love that one, you know? And so these people that are brand new go, oh, I got to have that, right? So that's what I do.
Linda, I think we need to have you on a call. And so you can go over all of your lip balm tips. How would you feel about that? I love that idea.
I could do that.
That'd be great. Okay, we will be in touch. Will you reach out to me on Facebook so I know I'm connected with you?
Okay, how do I find you on Facebook?
Aisha Harley, Harley.
I got to write it.
What were you going to add, Ariana? Here, I'll write it in the group for you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I was just going to add a little plug, and I love the lip balm idea. So I was just asked by a friend to go into a facility that works with youth with addiction issues. And I just wanted to mention that our youth right now are really struggling after the pandemic and the intense isolation. I think we all are, but I think it's really hit hard on our youth. And when we look at the statistics of suicide and addiction rates, it is staggering. So one thing that was so simple, you know, these are complex issues. And I thought, wow, you know, I can't just fix these issues. I wish I could, but something that I just was so moved by that I was able to offer some kids was ways to calm their nervous system down. And it was just what we do. So I took this group of boys and I didn't know if they'd be responsive or not. And I just got some oils and had them pick. I had chose a few of them. I chose like a wood, a citrus, and then I think I brought serenity and lavender. And I just had them pick their favorite smell and just showed them how to drop the oil into their hands, breathe the oil, and talk to them about anxiety, depression, and just emotional wellness. And I have to say, I have a teenager who's a girl, but I was a little biased. I was like, oh, are these teenage boys going to even like this? I wasn't sure. And not all of them did, but oh my gosh, you guys, they were some of them were so responsive. And it just really reminded me that we can teach this in a class and in an event as we're talking about, and we can also organically teach it. Even if we had youth, that would be a great class for youth, like lip balm class where kids could socialize and make lip balms. And then you could teach them simply wow, smelling these oils help calm your nervous system. So I just wanted to put that plug in because I'm a mother and I'm talking to other parents of teenagers, and you could go younger too. I just am really hearing the need of many, many friends. Children are struggling. And so just a few ideas of how we could use, of course, with littles, it's going to be a little bit different of showing them how to use the oils, but for that age group, you know, we could do some lip balm classes or make a tea with the oils, or, you know, that might be a fun thing to show our youth, and so helpful for the mental well-being too.
I love it. Is there anybody else that would like to add anything to this conversation? And or is there anybody on this call that is new, has never had an event and would like to have an event, but feels hesitant or scared to have an event? If you are, let us know, because we're here to support you around that. And I understand that feeling. I remember how worried I was when I had my first event. Linda?
I just wanted to say that I have a 20-year-old granddaughter and a 17-year-old granddaughter, and it occurred to me I should have them invite their friends for a lip balm party.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And can I just share with all of you that it was a lip balm party that was the very beginning to my business. We made lip balm, 17 people showed up. Back then we didn't even have a close. We didn't know what we were doing. Somebody went home and bought the diamond kit. At the time we had a diamond kit. I got a $400 commission check. It all just sort of, it all happened from lip balm. So I love lip balm classes.
That's great. I sold a diamond kit. Actually, I didn't sell it, that she wanted it. We were at the chiropractor was teaching people how to use Instapot, and I would go to get connections. And this one lady wanted to cook with essential oils, and she says, well, I have to get the diamond kit. I said, you do? She says, yeah. She says, it's got all of the cooking oils in it, which, you know, she could have just bought the cooking oils, but she bought the diamond kit. And when she got that kit, I came over, we opened it together. It more than covered her whole dining room table.
Yeah, so more power to lip balms. Well, we are almost at 11 o'clock. So if there's nothing else to add, we always love this time together. We do hope that if you're in the Portland area that we will be seeing you. If you can't even make it quite at 5:30, you're welcome to just pop in when you're ready. We're going to be hanging out in the backyard. It's going to be cozy and fun and totally relaxed. And most of all, we want to see you. And then a reminder, we will be at convention this year. We really hope that you'll join us live. I know that for years we have now been online and doing all of this on the computer. But again, that point of connection coming together is a real boost. So if you're able to join us in convention, we would love to see you in Salt Lake City in September. Anything else, Dr. Josie or Ariana, that you want to add before we wrap up?
I just want to say that I'm so excited to see those who are coming to the convention. Connection for me is my number one strength, and I love connecting. And thank you, Aisha, for mentioning that, just the gold of our community of being connected. It's sacred, and it's so important right now. So there's such an epidemic of loneliness. So grateful for you all is really what I want to say. And if I don't get to see you at convention, I hope that we get to cross paths soon, because I just love all of you and adore our community. So
Yes, I second that. Thank you, Ariana, and this Dr. Josie, and I will be there. All three of us will be there, and we're really excited to see and be with people we haven't, actually been in person with, that we get to see here. I always call this the Brady Bunch, with the squares on Zoom. That's what that is for me. But, it's nothing like in person. And so if you're able to, please come and join us. It's a blast. And we can love you from afar, but we love to love you close up too.
We can actually give you a hug in the real.
Okay, everyone, we look forward to seeing you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.